Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? I should turn the audio on. Good to see you. Happy Thursday to you. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of the Rush Hour podcast. We're going to be diving into a Blake Lively court filing. That's right. Blake Lively has responded to Jed Wallace's motion to dismiss. I'm going to share what she has to say. I'm getting a little bit of a late start on the day because we had earthquake warnings all night long. That's right. We were advised, if not demanded, to seek shelter, I think 5 different times last night. As far as earthquakes, did I say earthquake? Tornado! Oh my God. Did I say earthquake? I'm having a brain quake right now, but we had massive tornado warnings last night. We are fine, although I have to tell you, it was pretty nutty. We were caught up in the old, what is it called? Shelter that we have. I'll show you guys a video. I'm going to send you guys a video of the shelter. And we were, our baby did fine. He was a little anxious. And so is the wife and myself, but we did okay. So I'm going to get into this. Let's give it a second to populate. But yeah, it was a pretty wild one. So I normally go to bed around 2 a.m., sometimes 3, depending on what time I finish recording the morning rush hour. And at about 3:05, like moments after I closed my eyelids, we got these alerts that said, "Get to a shelter, get to it now." And we obliged, although I think by the 5th alert, we realized, let's hang out by the door and see how it looks. Anyway, so we're going to get into all of that right now. Let's see who's in the chat. Boy, we already have a downvote. Wow, that was fast. Do you not like my hair today? So anyway, let's do this. I'll show you guys the tornado warning. Alexander says, me too. Tornado warnings all night last night. Let the kids watch TV because I'm too tired to parent. Yeah, there you go. Do whatever you need to do. I went to Starbucks this morning and everybody looked exhausted, and rightfully so. So I didn't prep my graphics, so let's just see if we have the graphic ready to go here. There it is. Here, I didn't post this publicly, so this is the only time you're going to see it. This is us in the storm shelter last night after getting the alert to seek shelter. We are in the shelter. Here, take that light and shine it on us so we get some good production value. How good is that? Even though we're in the shelter, I'm still demanding we get good production value. Light and shine it on us so we get some good production value. We are officially in the shelter. 3:20 a.m. We had to wake Augie up. And full tornado warning. We got the emergency warning. We are in the path, but we are protected. And we're keeping Augie happy and safe. Pretty scary times. In case anyone's wondering, what do you bring into a tornado shelter? I brought chocolate bars. They're keto. I brought keto chocolate bars and a phone charger. And that's about it. That's about all we had. We had waters too. So no, I should have brought some Celsius energy drinks. But either way, the shelter's meant for tornadoes. It slides. So even if things fall on top of you, you usually should be able to open it up. It's anyhow, I was told I'm the only person in our neighborhood that has the shelter. Grateful Edge says the alerts are so jarring on top of the tornado sirens. They give me too much anxiety. We don't have a manual radio. No, we should get a manual radio. Yeah, we don't have that. A wind-up radio. Yeah, we'll put that on the list. We'll put that on the list for next time. Absolutely. We're new to the game, so we don't know what we're supposed to have. All right, so we're going to get into it. Bruce, good to see you. Good to see everybody. We are here, 272 in the chat. Feels a little low for the chat right now. So why don't we just do this? Everyone hit the like button. Double check that you got the like button ready to go. Yeah, we'll leave a comment. Let me know where you're coming from. Autumn says, water, food, flashlight, hand crank, radio, Southwest Missouri. Oh, yeah, you know what you're talking about. We live in Nashville. We're in Nashville. So we had 5 severe tornado warnings. The first one hit about 3 a.m. and the last one about 5. So I think we probably got to sleep at about 5:30, and then the baby woke us up at about 9 or so. But yeah, no, I mean, totally. It's one of those things, right? You're fine until you're not. Alisa says, hello from a Ukrainian viewer. If you've ever heard of Ukraine after the Depp and Amber case, this is the best online series one could imagine. Yes, Alisa, we are very familiar with Ukraine. I hope you and your family are safe. Alexander says, a comment or a live chat. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. All right, let's just dive right into it. So this is actually a pretty juicy case that we have here. Of course, obviously, it's Blake Lively versus Wayfair Studios. We're probably going to get, and so let me know, folks, by making sure that you do all the things we need to do for the algorithm. Let me know if you enjoy these longer form pieces of content, because we have the morning episode, the afternoon episode, and then, of course, we speckle these in when we have court documents to read or other breaking news. And yesterday we shared Justin Baldoni's response to Ryan Reynolds' motion to dismiss. Today we have Blake Lively's response to Jed Wallace's motion to dismiss. And Jed Wallace has been one of those characters. Hey, Boise, good to see you. Hello, San Francisco. Boise, Buffalo, New Jersey, London. Oh, from all over. Renee, good to see everybody. So this Jed Wallace character is probably more, or could be more interesting than people realize. They argue they never even hired the guy. They never needed him. It's a whole, theater arts. It's all fiction. And Blake Lively's side argues, no, this is the spy. This is why I have this is why you have the 007 right there, the Daniel Craig. This is a covert operative that they're saying. Now, is he a covert operative? And to be quite honest, I don't know. I don't know if he ended up doing any work for them. They argue that he didn't. So I'm assuming there's no paper trail. But would there be a paper trail if you had a covert operative? I mean, the whole thing, every time you mention covert operative, it makes you kind of want to go down some conspiracy theory. And let's do it. So yeah, I mean, for me, for the sort of popcorn eating, carbohydrate loving, random audience member, I would love if he's a covert operative. That would be super interesting. Does it make it illegal what he did if he was operating in the dark and there was a dark money trail and a bag of money shows up to his house in Texas and he does all of this clandestine work? If that's the case, that would be super interesting. Oh, Steve's in the chat. Good to see you, Steve. Steve Hodgson says, keto chocolate bar fun. Thanks, Dave, and stay safe. Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got the keto chocolate bars from Costco, so they're a pretty good deal. Anyhow, so yeah, it's interesting the way Blake's trying to label him, and it's not exactly without some merit. I mean, if you look at the text messages, even if Blake is cherry picking them, they are pretty spicy. But also, my North Star compass is usually saying the most boring, most obvious thing is usually what's going on. That principle that, we love to get our dopamine rush from some grand conspiracy, but usually it's not. And in this case, Baldoni's side argues the most obvious thing is that they never had to hire Jed. They hired this guy to do an audit, to look at social media, to see how things are going. And he's like, look, you guys are crushing it. You don't need my help. That would be the most obvious thing that happened. And I do believe there was plenty of organic hate towards Blake Lively. Jin with a $10 super chat says, hello from Ventura, California. Love your channel. Oh, thank you, Jin. We appreciate you. And I love Ventura. It's been a while since I've been there, but we love Ventura County. Very nice area. All right, let's dive in. So, of course, all of the BS right here, the lawyer talk, the table of contents. Who needs that? Let's dive into it. Introduction and summary of our... I'm going to have to turn the fan on. Let's turn the fan on for this. Hold on. Okay, we needed the fan on. Jed Wallace and his company Street Relations were the covert operatives. Every time there's a spy reference, I'll hit the X-Files music. in Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Steve Sarawitz's conspiracy to retaliate against Blake Lively for speaking out about Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us. Mr. Wallace is a self-described hired gun who executes untraceable campaigns on social media platforms. In this case, despite Mr. Wallace boasts about his clandestine abilities, he and his company got caught even without discovery. The facts available to Miss Lively already show that Mr. Wallace and Street Relations joined and actively participated in the conspiracy to bury Miss Lively and destroy her reputation in retaliation for speaking up about harassment. Now, they'll argue, we didn't try to bury her reputation for anything. We just wanted to be a pro Justin Baldoni account. That's all. So SEJ says, what is this filing? This is Blake Lively trying to make sure that Jed doesn't get dismissed from the case. Bruce says, this is the Blake Lively response to Jed Wallace motion to dismiss. Yeah. We haven't spoken about this. We haven't said Jed this many times since the Hannah Brown days. Their co-defendants' own text messages and emails, and this is where it gets a little dangerous because this is where we start cherry picking, but that's what you do, this part of the case. And by the way, if you're Justin Baldoni's side and you have nothing to hide, maybe you want Jed Wallace to be there just so you can dunk on her further. Their co-defendants' own text messages and emails included with Mr. Wallace confirm that the Wallace parties knowingly joined a conspiracy designed to harm Miss Lively, knew what the conspiracy was trying to accomplish, and helped that happen. The other co-conspirators could barely contain their glee at how successful the Wallace parties executed the plan, patting themselves on the back about their amazing work. Now, they're going to argue that that amazing work was sarcasm. Defendants Melissa Nathan and Jennifer Abel celebrated the conspiracy's total success in achieving a shift on social, due largely to Jed and his team's efforts to shift the narrative towards shining a spotlight on Blake and Ryan. What's interesting with this is you're seeing a lot of people that want to justify their work. So there's a lot of circle jerking. We call that patting each other on the back happening, where, oh, you did great. You did this. Oh, yeah, because they are the ones that hired Jed Wallace. So they want it to be known that he's doing a great job, even if he might not have had anything to do with it. And I guess they'll have to see they'll have to go through all of the text messages to try to prove that. Miss Nathan commented that the majority of socials are so pro-Justin, I don't even agree with half of them. It's actually sad because it just shows you how people really want to hate on women. And again, none of that shows conspiracy that they're pro-Justin. Still, these were the efforts that Miss Nathan saw as a total success, as does Justin. When another woman came forward to describe similar misconduct she experienced at the hands of Mr. Baldoni, the co-conspirators turned to the Wallace parties, with Miss Abel reporting that we flagged to Jed and his team for more serious action on the social side. The Wallace party's motion ignores all of this, along with the rest of the amended complaint in favor of a self-serving and unsupported narrative. Well, I mean, isn't every motion self-serving? Your Honor, I'm guilty. Yeah, you really shouldn't let me dismiss this. I am a piece of crap. Denying any wrongdoing, any joining of a conspiracy, and any connection to New York. Each of the Wallace party's individual arguments are legally meritless and contradicted by the detailed allegations in the amended complaint, which must be taken as true for the purpose of this motion. First, the Wallace parties argue that they are not subject to personal jurisdiction in the court. Their sole argument against Miss Lively's theory of personal jurisdiction, a conspiracy-based theory, is that the Wallace parties did not join any conspiracy. To be clear, the Wallace parties do not dispute that a conspiracy existed or that other members of that conspiracy established sufficient contact with New York, but only that the Wallace parties did not join the conspiracy. And by the way, in this case, a conspiracy is just one side operating, conspiring for a means to an end. It doesn't necessarily mean there's something sinister, but you could tell they're really trying to paint a picture that there was a deeper, darker, untraceable thing happening. That way, when they don't have the evidence to support it, they'll be like, yeah, of course we don't have the evidence. It's a conspiracy. It's all untraceable. In support of that content, it's like, honey, I was told in college I was the best lover. Well, it's all untraceable. You can't, no one's going to tell you because there's I don't know, maybe that's a bad example. But Mr. Wallace's self-serving declaration is contradicted by the verbatim text messages and emails in the amended complaint. At this stage, the amended complaint's more than plausible allegations trump Mr. Wallace's declaration, which the court cannot even consider at this stage without first allowing discovery into Mr. Wallace's participation in the conspiracy. Discovery that will only confirm what Miss Lively was already able to allege based on the texts and emails she has obtained thus far. Second, the Wallace parties challenge venue in this court and ask for transfer to the Western District of Texas. The Wallace parties are simply incorrect that venue does not lie in the district. Okay, yeah, so whatever. It's not going to Texas. Most importantly, the Wallace parties are wrong that the Texas lawsuit counts as first filed for purposes of the motion to transfer simply because they were not named as defendants in this action until the amended complaint. By the way, I'm not knocking Jed Wallace's lawyers here, but I'm sure he's being wildly outspent. He's probably got like one guy who runs an office in the local township they live in. He does the local divorces, the obituaries. The lawyer, he does landscaping on the side. They got one of those lawyers that's like, all right, I'll do. What do you need? I'll notarize your quinceañera, band. Oh, what? You got a giant defamation lawsuit? I'll do it. Sure. I mean, what lawyer wouldn't want to take a stab at it? Elizabeth is drinking a Bloom energy drink to pick me up. Is that that sounds like a Bloom energy drink. That sounds like something they'd have on It Ends With Us. Third, the Wallace party's limited arguments about the merits of Miss Lively's claims are all unavailing. The Wallace party's only arguments against Miss Lively's false light claim is choice of law. All right, so they get into this real nitty-gritty stuff. The Wayfair parties embark on a conspiracy to destroy Miss Lively in retaliation for raising concerns about harassment. Now, Blake Lively's side is combining things, right? They're combining the word destroy. I mean, you could put Dave's conspiring to destroy you by making these YouTube. You just combine things together. It doesn't make them all true, right? But that's their claim, that it was all part of a retaliation effort. Now, when I said before, I like to go with the simplest thing. Let me remind you, what's the simplest thought? That they wanted to destroy Blake Lively, one of the most powerful couples in Hollywood, all while they owned the rights to the movie that would also sink? What idiot would do that? What idiot would privately try to ruffle feathers with the star of their movie? The star of their movie that, is friends with Taylor Swift and is doing media campaigns. I don't see a reason privately why they would retaliate to Blake Lively. I see a reason why they would prepare for Blake Lively to make this public, knowing full well they took whatever safeguards they could to protect themselves, but kind of knowing they had to admit to things they didn't want to admit to. Put it this way: I own a bait and tackle shop, and I'm making this up. I own a bait and tackle shop, and the only way my bait and tackle shop is successful is if the mayor of the town lets me renew my lease every year. So I need to make sure the mayor of my town is happy. Now, let's say the mayor of the town has some dirt on me. It's not true, but they're ready to go forward with my dirt. What good does it do me, the owner of my local bait and tackle shop, to retaliate against private accusations from the mayor? I'm going to try to keep that mayor as happy as possible. Hey, mayor, come on in. Free worms. What do you need? We got it all. Bait and tackle. You can park out there for free. I'll give you a foot massage. I'll do your landscaping. I got a good lawyer here who does quinceañeras. What benefit does it get to retaliate against a person that could damage you? To be quite honest, I do think I would make an excellent lawyer. I would just say, look, there's no motive. Baldoni has no motive for any of this whatsoever to come public. And you might say, well, but he was trying to retaliate by smearing her privately. Again, that doesn't help the movie out. It doesn't help the movie if their main actress, if the lead and star of their movie with the most cachet is getting beat up online. Mika Stevens said, agreed, Dave. Look how Justin spoke of Blake throughout all the press. He was always complimentary, and even though behind the scenes she was making him miss his own movie premiere. Sheila said, find dirt on the mayor. Yeah, no. Find dirt on the mayor. Absolutely. Fuck that mayor. That mayor sucks. That mayor, But you can have all that dirt, but you don't activate the town against the mayor. You wouldn't push the mayor into a position to go public. Laura says, if you have time and headspace, check out the content by that surprise witness who has a lot of background knowledge on Jed Wallace. She's a former lawyer and amazing researcher. Well, maybe I can get her on the show. Maybe she'll come on the show. Lulami says, unhappy from the tariff news. Yes, I've lost more money in the last day than I used to make in a year. But I'm not retiring anytime soon, and I'm going to start investing in more foreign markets. That's what I'm going to start doing. We've done something positive today. We've united the world against us. That takes a lot of okie dokie, but hey, there's a grand vision, What is it? Who knows? By the way, did you watch my morning rush? Trump put a tariff on an island in Antarctica that only has penguins. I like it. Tariff those penguins. 20% tariff for looking so cute. Don't waddle your way over here, penguins. All right. Miss Lively's claims against the Wallace parties, like her claims against their co-defendants, ultimately trace back to Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's harassing and inappropriate behavior on the set of the film. Yeah, imagine owning a bait and tackle shop and you provoke the person that can cancel you. It wouldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I got a downvote. Maybe someone's a big fan of penguins and they don't want tariffs. I don't want tariffs on the penguins either. Justice for the penguins. So they go into it and all of the legal malarkey we're not going to cover. As the film's August 6th New York premiere neared, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath grew concerned that their misconduct would become public. And in a blatant act of retaliation against Miss Lively for bringing her concerns about the misconduct through appropriate professional channels, engaged in a coordinated campaign to destroy her reputation, distract from their own behavior with false narratives about Miss Lively, and get away with their misconduct. I would almost believe this if this was 12 months after the movie premiered. Because then you'd say, well, they already made their money off of her. No, there's no way. The words that are put together here do not make sense. There is no logic to this. To advance those unlawful objectives, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath enlisted a number of co-conspirators, including Mr. Baldoni's billionaire partner, Steve Sarowitz, who promised to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively and her family's lives. Wayfair Studios and It Ends With Us movie, so blah, 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 all of them, Nathan, and they all come together. The ragtag group. Together, the conspiracy set out to destroy Miss Lively and punish her for having the courage to come forward about the harassment she and others experienced on the set of the film. Specifically, on August 2nd, Miss Nathan delivered a proposal to Mr. Baldoni, which included a website to discuss full Reddit, full social account takedowns, full social crisis team on hand for anything. Engage with audiences in the right way. Start threads of theories. This is the way to be fully 100% protected. Miss Nathan proposed the creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts. Yeah, this stuff would look ugly to the naked eye. Bruce said, would you rather fight 10 penguin-sized Nick Vials or one Nick Vial-sized penguin? Imagine 10 penguin-sized Nick Vials asking you a 7-minute-long question, which is all about him. Boy, that guy can really ask. If there was a gold medal for how long of a question can you ask, I think he would win it. He would be the most decorated. He would be the Michael Phelps of wordy questions. As Miss Abel described it, the plan was to engage in social media mitigation and proactive fan posting to counter the narrative, as well as social manipulation. To get ahead of this narrative, Miss Nathan's plan proposed strategies to advance misleading counter narratives, including pushing Miss Nathan's narrative that Miss Lively had a less than favorable reputation, proposing to explore planting stories about the weaponization of feminism, and blaming Miss Lively for production members' job losses. Well, and again, if this goes to trial, Baldoni's side will be able to summons production members whose jobs may have been lost because of Blake Lively. It will not look good for her. The idea of planting stories about the weaponization of feminism, maybe the story's planting, but do they believe it? but they believe that Blake Lively weaponized feminism? That's what it's going to come down to. That's what it's going to come down to. Initially, Mr. Baldoni expressed concerns that Tagg's written plan was insufficiently aggressive to protect him. Writing to Mr. Heath and Miss Abel, he said he was not in love with the document they sent, not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call with Miss Nathan and her colleagues. Later that day, Miss Abel and Miss Nathan exchanged more text message expressing that Mr. Baldoni wants to feel like Miss Lively can be buried. Miss Abel and Miss Nathan agreed that they should not betray their true intentions in writing. When we send over documents, we can't send over the work we will or could do because that could get us in a lot of trouble. We can't write it down to him. We can't write, we will destroy her. We will go to this. We will do this. We will do this. We will do this. So this is really damning for Baldoni on its face. They'll have to go through discovery to see if there's any evidence of what they actually were going to do. There's a lot of reading between the lines here. And how smart of her to not put that in writing. Imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. Whoopsie. Miss Nathan followed this by assuring Miss Abel, we can bury anyone, but I can't write that to him. A few days later, Mr. Baldoni set the tone for the social combat he and his co-conspirators would enact, sending Miss Abel a threat on X that had accused another female celebrity of bullying women. Mr. Baldoni stated, this is what we would need. I still don't understand. They say that Baldoni was accused of harassment to another employee, but we never found out who that was. Elizabeth says, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, you both are screwed when Discovery comes. And look, I think Discovery will be tough for Jed Wallace and Justin Baldoni too. But I also think that we probably have seen all of the evidence that actually exists. Tess says, Dave, it's pronounced damning. The N is silent. Well, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's tough to say words out loud. You don't know what you're saying wrong. It's like having food in your mouth. You don't know until someone tells you. Thank you. The Wallace parties join and become, I still don't know how to pronounce nuclear. Jed Wallace and street retaliations joined and became an integral part of that conspiracy. Mr. Wallace, and by the way, reading these things out loud, there are so many words I read that I have no idea what they mean. You know what I mean? Oh, and Mika loves how I say damning. Yeah, who cares, right? If you understand what I'm saying. Whatever, it's cool. Correct me. He specializes in executing confidential and untraceable campaigns on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, and X, to shape public perception of his clients and their adversaries, flooding the zone with their manufactured narratives. By the way, how crazy would it be if you find out through Discovery that Jed is my uncle? Lee says, to complete the metaphor, imagine you had to open the tackle shop with the name Mayor Joe's Tackling Shop. Yeah. Eliza said, I think Jed was telling the truth in his filing. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't he? Because he doesn't owe Justin Baldoni anything. He is a subcontractor. And this is what people were saying. They were saying, look, his Jed Wallace's sworn deposition is or his sworn affidavit, which is a sworn statement that he's telling the truth. That's the most damning evidence we have so far, because it's someone saying, I stand by this, and he has nothing, it's like, look, he doesn't need to be losing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. He doesn't have a reason to lie for anybody. So she says, they've joined up and all of this, whereas his affidavit says, no, that's not the case. They never even needed to hire me. Through TAG, defendants engaged Mr. Wallace in street relations in early August, when the press and public were beginning to notice none of Mr. Baldoni's fellow cast members would be seen with him. Mr. Wallace and street relations got to work seeding celestial seeding, manipulating, and advancing disparaging content on social media platforms and internet chat forums, including specific platforms that Miss Abel told Mr. Baldoni they would focus on: Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram. Miss Abel emailed Miss Nathan and Mr. Wallace on August 8th, saying to Miss Nathan and her tag team about Miss Wallace and the street relations team, "Is this something you can bring them up to speed on so they can hit the ground running?" On August 9th, Miss Abel, Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, Miss Nathan, and other members of the tag team, back again, exchanged text messages to celebrate the narrative that was shifting online to pointing finger at Ryan being overly involved. Is that like a saying, tag team back again? Let's see if we can get that. Tag team back again. Let's just get that one lyric. Let's see if we can just get that one lyric. Every time they say tag, I'd love to have tag team. So let's go tag team back again. Yeah, this is all I want. All right. Do you guys mind just sticking with me for this? I'm gonna rip this right now. Hold on. Stick with me. You guys can see how this works in real time here. This is, every once in a while I have to do something for me. I have like a brain that only works in certain ways. So watch this. We're going to hit record. Watch this. And as we're recording, let's just play this real quick. Just 1 second.
This tag team back again.
That's it. That's all I needed, right? So now watch this. We go. We'll have this ready to go in less than a minute. Hold on. So hold on a second. We'll go to settings and audio hardware, and we'll run this Rodecaster Pro.
Team back again.
That's all we need.
This tag.
All right, here.
Tag team back again.
There it is. So now we export. We're going to call this tag. Export media. Tag team. We're going to save this as an MP3. And then look, you guys just got to be a part of Work with Dave. There it is. It's 1 second. It's 1.2 seconds long. And now we go to Rodecaster. Check this out. And we're going to put this right on our system.
This is going to be on Dave Neal, but
Push the like button.
We're going to steal this on the push the like button sound. We don't need that sound anymore. And we're going to change, we're going to go right here. Tag team. Check this out. Okay, you guys ready? So from now on, whenever we hear tag team
back again.
There it is. We got our tag team button. All right, good. Let's continue. Either way, we flagged to Jed and his team for more serious actions on the social side. That same day, Miss Nathan reported to the group Mr. Wallace's sentiment that we are crushing it on Reddit. Around the same time, threads began to appear on Reddit speculating about a feud between Miss Lively and Mr. Baldoni, calculating to paint... where did I lost it? Calculated to paint Miss Lively as being in the wrong. On August 10th, Tag Team expressly acknowledged the success of the Wallace Party's effort to shift public attention from stories about Mr. Baldoni's misconduct into a manufactured and harmfully narrative about Miss Lively, stating they had started to see a shift on social due largely to Jed and his team's efforts to shift the narrative towards shining a spotlight on Blake and Ryan. Following this shift, Miss Nathan texted, "The majority of socials are so pro-Justin, I don't even agree with half of them." So they get into that whole thing. It was genius. Over the days that followed, Mr. Wallace and Street Relations led a digital team that worked with Miss Nathan, Miss Abel, and
Tag Team back again.
to further implement their social manipulation strategy. When an allegation surfaced regarding additional misconduct by Mr. Baldoni, as Miss Abel stated, this girl is claiming that Justin invited her up to his hotel room years ago. Miss Nathan advised Miss Abel, "Let us chat to Jed as well on this." In response to Mr. Baldoni's concern that he did not want bots defending him online, "I really don't want bots defending me," Miss Nathan reassured him that something much more sophisticated was in motion, stating that the other team, a reference to the Wallace parties, is doing something very specific in terms of what they do, adding that, "I know Jamie Heath and Jed connected on this." So hold on a second. A girl is claiming that Justin invited her up to his hotel room years ago. What does that have to do with this? And who's the girl?
Tag Team back again.
Maybe they were tag teaming. What does that have to do with it? The Wallace Party sue in California, dismissed that action, then sue Miss Lively in Texas after learning that this action would proceed in New York. So here we get to where we want to put it. I don't think this is important. Which court they're going to go to. He obviously wants Texas. They go to the legal standard. Again, don't feel the need to share it. The argument as to why he wants personal jurisdiction. If she alleges that a conspiracy existed, the Wallace parties participated in the conspiracy, and that a co-conspirator's overt actions in furtherance of the conspiracy had sufficient contacts with New York to subject that co-conspirator to jurisdiction in the state. So then the Wallace parties say, I've only been to New York 3 times. I haven't been there in years. That's what their response was. The Wallace party's sole argument against the conspiracy theory of jurisdiction is to assert that Wallace was not involved in the conspiracy. To support that assertion, the Wallace parties ignored the amended complaint entirely, relying solely on Wallace's self-serving declaration. What hotel were they at? I want to know. Were they at like a Red Roof Inn, or were they kind of hanging out in some nice swanky Standard? Eliza says it's a nothing burger. Nancy says it has nothing to do with this. The more often they bring in these claims about what happened in the past and with other people, the more it's clear that Blake has nothing. Nancy, I agree with you. I think that's a great way to look at it. The more they try to bring in smear campaign type stuff, the more I think they're just trying to rack up the bill before this thing settles. They're trying to kick the tires and say, well, I wonder, what if Justin was cheating on his wife? Or what if we have a rumor of Justin cheating on his wife? We can make him look bad. He might say it might affect his family so much that he just wants to settle. I don't think that'll happen. Okay. The amended complaint more than sufficiently alleges the Wallace party's agreement to participate in the conspiracy alleged in the amended complaint. During the crucial period surrounding the August 2024 premiere of the film, at which Steve Sarowitz pledged to spend $100 million. What they don't say is why he wanted to pledge the money. He pledged the $100 million because he feels like he's in the right. Miss Nathan, Miss Abel, and began to fulfill Mr. Sarowitz's threat, engaging Mr. Wallace in street relation to design and implement a social combat plan. All right, so again, a lot of the same stuff we've already seen. There's no doubt as to a personal jurisdiction. Again, and we don't have any new information. I think the only new information might have been that they said there's a woman who he wanted to bring up to the room. I think that's new. Here, a substantial part of the events given rise to the underlying torts, false light, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and FIHA, harassment and retaliation, took place in this district. As the amended complaint alleges, the all-hands meeting at which Miss Lively and others discussed Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath's misconduct on set occurred in this district, New York. The film itself premiered in Manhattan. It was at the premiere that Mr. Sarowitz announced that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin Miss Lively and her family's lives. Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath, as officers of Wayfair, engaged with Jones Work, a company with its principal place of business in New York, an engagement that initiated the retaliation campaign at issue. Oh, it's so annoying. Why don't they just do this whole trial in, Iowa? You know what I mean? I get it. They want to, every state's got different rules. Just set up in Greenland. Go somewhere neutral. And go to that island in the Antarctica with the penguins. You know what I mean? Go somewhere neutral. How about this? Why don't they do the trial at a summer camp place? You know those summer camps where everyone, gets to shoot bows and arrows and, flirt with people for the first time, right? How about this? Find me a summer camp. I'll be a camp counselor. I'll be there with Starlink just going live nonstop. And we'll have little camp outfits. We'll have those little short shorts that you wear when you go to summer camp. And we'll tag team this.
Tag team back again.
All right. Just a thought, just floating it by. Motion for summer camp. Yeah, one time at band camp, we had a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I'm jealous because I was poor. I was a poor kid. So I didn't have stay away camp. I had the camp where they send you to the local park. You know how much it sucks seeing movies like Parent Trap, where they go to these amazing camps, and then I'm making GIMP at a park with glass in the grass, Justice for me. Let's get a petition to send me to camp. Can we? They have adult camp for those of us that have, daddy issues. The Wallace parties are correct that the first to file rule is implicated by the coexistence. Okay, so they just get into this legal nonsense. We don't worry about this. It's all because it's all the same stuff. So it's interesting per se. By the way, 837 people in the chat. What made this less? Like yesterday, we had 2,000 people in the chat. I wonder what it was. Do me a favor, audience. You might not know this. Double check to see if you are subscribed. People have been getting unsubscribed and telling me that they didn't know they were unsubscribed. I'm not blaming some grand conspiracy as existing, but it could be that people get scrubbed, they get unsubscribed. So double check. Yeah, send Augie to camp. My wife's not going to let that happen. My wife, she's going to have a GPS tracker on that baby. She loves them. Luan says, go to Camp McLean in Wisconsin. All right, let's look up Camp McLean. There, just say Camp McLean, Wisconsin reviews. Let's take a look at Camp McLean. I'll go to a summer camp. Here it is. Let's see. They say it's the happiest place on earth. This looks like a good camp. Oh, they're going. Oh, yeah. They got the lakes. They got the zip lines. Are you kidding me? Windsurfing, archery. They got it all. We're going to Wisconsin, baby. This looks like fun. All right. Somebody get me Camp McLean on the phone. We're going to YMCA Camp McLean. 65 reviews. It's a kids camp, but we'll take it over. We'll eat some slop in the old, we'll do the whole thing. We'll tag team it.
Tag team back again.
Let's go back to this. The plaintiff's choice of forum. A plaintiff's choice of forum is to be, so again, more legalese. Again, none of this really matter. The convenience of parties. The convenience of the parties weighs neutrally here. And by the way, I kind of feel as though they're not trying to ruffle too many feathers with Mr. Wallace. Jed here. Tag
team back again.
I don't think they care to make enemies with him, but he was hired to do something. They think that it was more conspiratorial than he's saying. And if I'm the judge, and we'll have to see, but if I'm the judge, I think I think you don't dismiss him. Judy says you get camp no counselors. Oh, no counselors? That sounds like a lot of HPV. Adult camp with no counselors. That could go buck wild. The convenience of parties. The convenience of the parties weighs naturally here because regardless of the forum in which the actions take place, one party will be obligated to travel. Yeah, everyone's got to travel. So that's why I say, let's go to the Penguin Island. Let's all go to, if we're going to have to travel, let's all go to the Penguin Island or Camp McLean. The locus of operative facts. The Wallace parties contend that the locus of operative facts is in Texas, at least as to Wallace and Street. Now, obviously, they're not going to do this thing in Texas. They're going to consolidate this whole thing and bring it to New York City. We'll be there for the whole month of March 2026. We'll be live streaming and doing all of the stuff. I'll be hiring a professional camera guy to come with us so that we can be live with the stupid, mic flag and all that. Finally, given that Miss Lively's actions will proceed in the district against every other defendant, basic considerations of the judicial economy favor one action rather than two. The Wallace party's motion to transfer should be denied. And yeah, I think that's reasonable. It sucks for Jed Wallace, but hey, them's the ropes. Someone said, when I first started watching a few weeks ago before I subbed, I was getting notifications for you every day. I don't recall that ever for someone I wasn't subbed to. Well, when a channel takes off, YouTube will really push you. And I think it really comes down to the fact that we were pumping out a lot of content, and that's just what happens. Mixed Match says, you and your beautiful wife are amazing parents and having your shelter. Yeah, well, we're very lucky that this shelter exists. We're very lucky. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video of the shelter right here. Let's see. Here's the video of the shelter. Where is it? Where'd it go? Where's the shelter video? Oh, here it is. By the way, this video has almost 750,000 views. This is your storm preparation. I'm going to time you. All right? There's a tornado happening right now. Go. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi, 11 Mississippi, 12 Mississippi, 13 Mississippi, 14. All right, you got down there in 14 seconds, but you forgot the baby. So, okay, anyway, that's where we stayed for about an hour last night during the real tornado watch. There was at least 4, maybe 5 full tornado, like seek shelter immediately warnings. Pretty wild stuff. But by the way, if you haven't followed me on Instagram or TikTok, both my Instagram and TikTok have new content. Blake Lively. So this was actually, we've got a new person doing our social media. So if you don't mind the Rush Hour with Dave Neal, give it a follow. I'll have all of the Blake Lively updates there as well, because I know a lot of people like talking on YouTube, but if you're the type that likes to have that conversation on Instagram or TikTok, you can do it there as well. So again, this was my morning Rush Hour, which was, transferred into Lee's response to Jed Wallace's motion to dismiss. Jed Wallace was this guy out of Texas who runs this company that's supposed to bury people. They call him a hired gun. Okay, so anyway, that's where you'll get the Spark Notes version of what's going on here. And again, you can go give that a follow if you haven't already on my socials. Oh, you got hail? You had hail? Oh, yeah, my car's got a glass roof. I don't know how it would do with hail. All right, let's bang this out.
Tag team back again.
So they claim it's meritless for the motion to dismiss. It should be denied. All of the jurisdiction information. Street relations was incorporated in California. Why do they want Texas? Blah, blah, blah. California's interest in regulating the Wallace Party's conduct becomes even clearer when viewed in light of the fact that in this action, Ms. Lively seeks to impose at a minimum vicarious liability on the Wallace Parties for their participation in a conspiracy to commit the tort of false light against her. The Wallace Parties do not meaningfully dispute that the primary tortfeasor's conduct in committing that underlying tort is governed by California law, nor could they, for several reasons, those tortfeasors engaged in a substantial amount of tortious conduct in California. So they're saying, well, you should be bound to California law. Even if Texas law applied to the question whether the Wallace Parties joined the conspiracy to commit those California law torts, it'd make no difference because Texas and California law and civil conspiracy liability is the same. I think what's so interesting here is you see that every state has different laws. You might, when you don't follow a lot of legal stuff, you go, why do you need to be licensed in different states? Well, it's because the laws are very different. And some of these things that are happening that might be legal in Texas might not be legal in California. New York's got stronger laws for free speech than California does, stronger than federal laws. Yeah, Susan said, remember when you looked at the house, who knew how soon you'd need the tornado shelter? SEJ says, I'm sub now, you're a new favorite, which makes about 3 total. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We got 50,000 new subs. It's been life-changing. And if anyone wants to be a part of the Patreon community, in about 20 minutes, we're going to go live on Patreon, the private membership. We go every day. And on Patreon, that's where we make the podcast. So you see the Photoshop work, all of the, sourcing content and all of that. Anyhow, all right, so the Wallace defendants' attempt to plead ignorance of the law is no excuse for their knowing, aiding, and abetting of retaliatory content that violated FEHA. I guess it's just annoying to that you read all of this, but you don't get to see any of the actual evidence. But that's kind of how it works. The Wallace parties knew that the Wayfair parties were retaliating against Miss Lively for engaging in conduct protected. The whole point of retaining the Wallace parties was so that they could help the Wayfair parties shift the narrative from HR complaints on set to shining a spotlight on Miss Lively instead. By the way, we have yet to see an HR complaint on set. So even if they said they wanted to shift the narrative from HR complaints on set, we don't have any HR complaints on set. Interesting stuff. So a lot of redundancy. That's what you get here. Let's see if there's our team's digital experts will mitigate if false narratives begin in the digital space, and tag
team back again.
Brought Mr. Wallace and his team up to speed by August. From that point, Mr. Wallace took aim at Miss Lively, casting her in a false light. Again, they'll have to prove that, they'll have to show what he actually did, but then they're going to claim that he said it was untraceable. So they're going to say they won't be able to see it. I think a jury sides with Jed because I think he's kind of like a third party to all of this, and he doesn't have much reason to lie. Like Justin Baldoni, you could say, well, he's probably telling the truth, but his reason to lie is he doesn't want to be canceled. Jed Wallace is a third party contractor, you know. No, obviously he doesn't want to admit to doing something that then could lead to him being liable. So I understand that, but I still think his testimony would be the one that is very strong for Justin. The outrageousness of such conduct is particularly striking given, as described above, the Wallace party's participation in the retaliatory astroturfing campaign in direct violation. The motion to dismiss and to transfer should be denied. Signed, Michael Gottlieb and attorneys. So there it is. There it is. We finished this in just under an hour. I mean, did we miss anything in there? I don't think so. My next video is probably going to cover several things. We have Hugh Jackman being on Blake Lively's side. We'll cover this. I've also got a conversation around how many followers Blake Lively has lost since this story came out. And believe me, it actually surprised me. It actually surprised me how many people she has actually lost since this started. So if there's any other news, let me just do a quick Twitter check while I've got you here. But I don't know if there's anything else we'll see here. This response to my tornado warning. You know what? There's actually one more thing. I get the alerts, although they're on West Coast time, but I get the alerts when there is a new document out. And I don't see any right now, but we will know when a new document is out. We will probably get another one today, and probably if not today, then tomorrow. That new document could be pretty juicy. It could be Justin Baldoni's response to Blake Lively's motion to dismiss. If that's the case, I mean, it's gonna be getting pretty dang juicy out there. It's going to be a pretty juicy out there. So we'll have to see. Again, do me a solid. Follow me on the Rush Hour with Dave Neal on Instagram. And why not both? It's free. D Neal's on Instagram as I slowly inch my way to 100,000. And also on TikTok, we have an account that is pretending to be us. It's called this is not my account. I just want you guys to know. The Dave Neal Show is not my account, but look at that. They have 10,000 followers. Can you believe that? They haven't uploaded in a week, probably because they know I've, filed complaints against them because they just ripped off all my content. But because of that, I hired a social media person, and they're not going to let me do it. But if you just go to D Neal's on TikTok, you will find me. Look at that, I'm at 6,400 followers. So we're getting there. And to be quite honest, it would be a real favor to me if you could do this. If you could just leave a comment on some of these new TikToks. Here's my one about Hooters. I'll play it. Looks like Hooters is going from an R rating to a PG-13 rating as part of a way to, I guess, gain a new clientele. I don't know why. Have a listen to this. I love stories like this on the Morning Rush that are just so not important. I just love a good irreverent Hooter story.
More family friendly. The company's CEO is calling it a re-Hooterization.
The real game changer? Yeah, that was us.
Hooters, known for their wings, cold beer, endless TVs, and a couple of other things.
I love that they have to play coy. Now, for them to go from R to PG-13, it's like they're turning their back or their front on the thing that made them what they are.
If you're going to do Hooters, you should dive in more.
Yeah.
More bikini nights.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
I'm with the guy. What do you do? Go Hooters or go home.
Go to redo Hooters. Do more bikini nights.
Yeah.
Hotter women.
Do you have to change the name?
I would strongly recommend that they would change their name. Particularly, again, they're trying to become a family-friendly restaurant.
What? No, they're not an Applebee's. They're a Hooters. It's a play on words that's supposed to be an owl, but it's really boo. It looks like Hooters is going from
right, so
an
anyway,
R rating to a.
So
I'm investing in more of my social media right there. So if you guys, I'll say this: the more that these channels grow, the more audience finds us here, the more lives we get to do. Maybe we'll hire more people on the team. So thanks for all the love and support regarding the tornado news. I got to tell you, the humidity in the air from the tornadoes has done a lot to my hair. The humidity in the air has done a lot for my hair. Do you see how I rhyme there?
Tag team back again.
All right, so yeah, that's it. I'm going live on Patreon. If you want to continue joining us, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'll be live in 2 minutes over there. Thank you to Love Monica for the $5 super chat. I appreciate all that tuned in today, and the afternoon rush will be up in like 2 or 3 hours. So that's where you can get that. Judy said volume ? What, you couldn't hear that? Could you not hear it? I think you guys can hear it. Can you not hear me? Check. I think my audio's on. I think it's you. I think you need to turn your ears up. All right, guys. Much appreciation to you. Thanks for joining me. And we will, again, I'll be live on Patreon right now for our loyal Patreon audience that wants to continue to chat. Let's go make the afternoon podcast. What do you say? Judy says, no, your hair, for the volume of my hair. Yeah, no, I use a little vitamin E oil, and I use castor oil. That's what I put in my hair. I like to shine it up with the old castor oil. That's what it's good for. Okie dokie. I'll respond to your comments on Instagram if you guys drop me a note, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining me. I do expect we'll have a live stream tomorrow, so make sure to have your alerts ready for that. Oh, and by the way, lastly, you can join Patreon for free. You will get alerts when I go live publicly. SCJ says, when do you go live on Patreon? Is it really every day? It's literally every day. I am live. Now, don't hold me to it. I'm usually live 4.5 days a week. I'm literally live like every day unless I'm traveling. I go live on Patreon, and then you guys watch me make content. So it's called Work with Dave. You watch a large screen of me getting the podcast together. So I quite literally will be over here, and I'll be showing people, what I'm doing and how I'm building the different bumpers and Hooters, and I put everything in, and then we shoot the podcast. So again, it's just if you want to check out the behind the scenes. I use Blake Brown. I use a little. I call it the old Deadpool. I put a little Deadpool in my hair. Yeah, castor oil and vitamin D is very healthy. You can use it on your skin too. It's good stuff. Okay, that's all I got for you. I'll see you guys on Patreon coming up next. Goodbye.